Hi, good morning, and welcome remotely to the 7th Annual Vision Zero Summit. My name is Elizabeth Kiker, and I'm the Executive Director of the Washington Area Bicyclist Association, who is hosting and putting on this amazing conference. I have been at WABA for 2 months, so when I say that we are putting on the conference, please know I mean that I did not do anything, and I am standing on the shoulders of giants. Our advocacy team, led by Jeremiah Lowry, Callie Krumpos, the Stephanie Tolowatsky, and Sarah, who started one day after me, who put this actual conference together. So I'm really grateful, not to mention our amazing communications team. So thank you all for being here with us to talk about this really important topic on this really important day. I started preparing these remarks by checking in with Greg Billings, who was the executive director of WABA when this conference began 7 years ago. He said at the time, DC was the only city in the region committed to Vision Zero, and at WABA, we had 2 goals for this conference. We wanted to hold cities accountable to Vision Zero, and we wanted to make it regional. So we're glad Maryland's Secretary of Transportation, Weiderfeld, is here today to be our keynote speaker. These remain our goals. Vision Zero is so huge and so vital, and the only way that we're going to be successful is as a region, working together, and with DC working hard toward it as well. We're very grateful for the commitments to the program. As we all know, traffic deaths are preventable, crashes are preventable, and in the most part, we know how to prevent them. The issue is gathering the political willpower and the financial investments to make the changes that need to be made to make our streets safer. I was yesterday, a wonderful and beloved colleague of ours at WABA resigned. It was his last day, and he was doing an exit interview, and I asked him what the worst day of working at WABA was, and he didn't even hesitate. He said that when Dave Solovich, an advocate and a bicyclist in DC, was killed, several staff members knew him, and he had to ride a staff member home because she was too shaken up to ride by herself, which made me sort of go down this rabbit hole learning about Dave. And another colleague said he was actually the conscience of WABA. When we were announcing something, there were a lot of staff would think, would Dave approve of this? What is Dave going to say about this? He worked really hard, sort of pushing us to do more, to do better, to do faster, particularly the Pennsylvania Avenue bike lanes, which I remember when they went in, it was very exciting. It was also then became sort of U-turn central. Everyone the drivers would go on Pennsylvania Avenue and think, oh, this is wide, I could just do a U-turn. And even though we were working to change it, Dave put up just red solo cups and a video and took time. How long will these solo cups last on Pennsylvania Avenue? And it wasn't even 5 minutes. And that really helped inspire the protected bike lanes on Pennsylvania Avenue that we have now. And his death was, of course, completely preventable, completely tragic, and part of what we're working to end here. And so I just, when we work on Vision Zero, it actually has 2 parts, right? It's like data driven, which is really important. How do we study it? How do we work on it? And then community building, like this community building, like how do we earn community buy-in by listening and working with residents of all wards in Washington, DC. When we talk about data driven, I think about my time at Cascade Bicycle Club. I was out there in Seattle working at their bike club, and we were doing our 5-year strategic plan. And as strategic plans are, you put in like a goal, a big, bold goal, and then you sort of incrementally work it backwards so that you can, achieve the goal as the plan. And so we were doing that with Vision Zero, and we said, okay, well, we'll cut the deaths in half the first year or something. And a board member stopped the meeting and looked up and said, so your goal is 10 deaths next year? Oh, no, the goal is Vision Zero. The goal is to not have any deaths. And so that remains really important and really at the forefront, and a very difficult goal to achieve, but one that is possible with our community, with our region working together. I'm heartened by DC's investment in Vision Zero. I'm heartened by the bold work, investments in bus lanes as well as bikeways. And I'm here to push for it to be done faster, bigger, and more effectively. For Dave, for Alabama Avenue and Wheeler Avenue pedestrians, for cyclists and transit users who die far too often, for all of us just trying to make it from point A to point B. Vision Zero is a huge priority, and we're grateful to be working on it and grateful the cities and the region is working on it. Just want to shout out Linda Bailey, who was a great leader at Vision Zero in DC, Christine Mayer, who remains there, and then the new team of Rick Burt and Matthew Gaskin. We're really excited to be working with them to make this vision a reality. And now I'm going to turn it over to Vision Zero Director Charlie Willson to further introduce us, and thank you all for being here today. Charlie, here you are.
Good morning. Trying to get on video. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great.
Sorry, yes, perfect.
No problem. My name is Charlie Willson. I'm the Interim Vision Zero Director in the Vision Zero office. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you to WABA and Elizabeth, Stephanie, and the whole team for convening us and developing this great program. Thanks. The human stories that you just told, Elizabeth, are the really the reason that I come to work, and I think a lot of my colleagues come to work, and it's good to center us there. So thank you for bringing it to centering that for us. Before I say anything, I also want to acknowledge and thank Linda Bailey, who is our Vision Zero Director for over 4 years. She was the founding director of the Vision Zero office. Linda brought a unique combination of experience and expertise and credibility to the Vision Zero work in DC. That she was tireless, she was creative, and she was committed. Under her leadership, we came a long way in our Vision Zero commitment. Her DC colleagues and everyone around the region will miss working with her in that capacity, but I know we all look forward to her next chapter and all the great things that she will accomplish. I also want to welcome Rick Burt, our new Highway Safety Office Director. At the end of the day, this is actually a Highway Safety Office event. So this is his event. Rick is a leader in youth engagement. He's going to bring fresh ideas and approaches to our highway safety work. He talks a lot about how the best defense against these kinds of crashes and injuries and fatalities is a good offense, meaning prevention, meaning thinking about things before we're thinking about crashes and looking at the fallout from them. So I appreciate that approach, and I think he's right. Definitely want to acknowledge Christine Mayer from the Vision Zero office. She's been working with WABA on this event, and she will be speaking on not one but 2 panels today. I always appreciate hearing from her, and I appreciate it when she has the opportunity to share her vast knowledge with folks. Thanks to all of our panelists. I've worked closely with most of these great folks, and having them all in the same room, or at least on the same Zoom call, that's a big deal, and I look forward to the day. Thank you, Secretary Wiedefeld, for joining us and sharing your thoughts and perspective from years of hard work. As prefaced by Elizabeth, the Secretary is a particularly appropriate choice for a keynote because we're definitely a region that is truly interconnected. And in order to achieve Vision Zero, we're not going to do it independently, right? We're not going to do it as individual jurisdictions. We're going to have to work together as a region. And as the general manager and CEO of WMATA for the better part of a decade, he was really at the center of our regional coordination. So he has more to say about that than most folks. I imagine he's probably glad to be answering to one jurisdiction, one governor these days. But yeah, look forward to hearing from him. On the regional note, I'm also glad there'll be a panel of our regional Vision Zero leads from DC and from the surrounding jurisdictions. That panel is not specifically about regional coordination, but if you listen closely enough, which I know you will, you'll be able to tell that it's a group that knows one another really well, gets together regularly to compare notes, really respects each other's work, provides a sounding board for each other. It's really fun to get to work with those folks. I'm glad we have such great partners throughout the region, and I look forward to that panel. In addition to being a regional effort, Vision Zero and the Highway Safety Office is absolutely an all hands on deck approach. Everyone deserves to have safer streets to walk along, to get to work, to play, to enjoy our great city and our region. For all district government employees, speaking, on behalf of them, that the Vision Zero commitment means working relentlessly to prevent and redress traffic deaths and serious injuries. It also means being data-driven and focused in the projects that we select and the solutions that we choose. When I say data-driven, I do believe that, and you'll hear a bit more about that throughout the day. I think particularly in that regional Vision Zero panel that I referenced. But this summit, one of the themes is community engagement. So let me acknowledge that as well and say that community engagement is absolutely one of the key sources of data. Our community stakeholders themselves. In the same way that any public program is just not going to work if it's not designed with the humans who will use it in mind. We can really only achieve Vision Zero if we're working in true partnership with the people who live, work, and play in our community. Engaging the community takes many, many forms. It is at the center of what we do. It's not necessarily the fastest way to get things done and rolled out, but the agencies working to achieve Vision Zero have to acknowledge that they're working to counteract really decades of misplaced priorities, infrastructure, different choices that have had real impact and continue to have real impact. And so the only way to make true progress on Vision Zero is to really establish a new level of credibility and a new level of trust in every neighborhood throughout the region. It won't be easy. It will require a lot of humility and a lot of listening, in addition to creative and bold effort. I say listening because listening really leads us to consider all of the social and personal realities that people bring to the issues we're trying to solve. People live full, complex lives. They aren't just, quote, users of the transportation network. And we have to acknowledge people's whole complex story if we're going to achieve Vision Zero. Last year, we released a Vision Zero update. I think that's the topic of the next panel. But if not, I think it'll be discussed throughout the day, I hope. If not, please check out the Vision Zero 2022 update. It really does lay out everything that we're doing in great detail and with deliverables and accountability. But that Vision Zero update, Christine led the development of it. It was a multi-agency effort. And now we're poised to foster, using that as our framework, we're poised to foster even more interagency coordination and address the full range of issues. Like I said, people bring lots of personal and social realities to the transportation network. So we'll be able to address the full range of issues and take more of what I like to think of as a public health approach to Vision Zero. The Vision Zero update also enshrines a focus on our high injury network. High injury network is the streets where we see a disproportionate number of crashes, injuries, and fatalities. The update also requires us to move forward with a focus on equity. The burden of traffic crashes, injuries, and deaths falls disproportionately across the district, with wards 7 and 8 bearing the greatest losses of life and serious injuries, and we absolutely must change that outcome. Focusing our efforts on the areas of highest need is not only the right thing to do, it's also the most logical way to make progress on our goals. So that is our focus. And indeed, we will have to address a wide range of issues because we are still a ways from achieving Vision Zero. So it's going to take commitment. That's why I'm proud of some of the commitments we made in the last few years with regard to Vision Zero. And in the fiscal year 2024 budget that is, I think, not signed yet, but has been debated and crafted. If you want to see a city's priorities, you can always look at the budget. And in DC's case, we've been making historically large investments in traffic safety. A small sample of some of the recent developments that I just want to highlight. Like I said, DDOT is committed to completing projects on every high injury network corridor in the next few years. And this commitment builds upon what I think are nation leading commitments in bus priority projects and bikeway network construction. The DC Department of Motor Vehicles has launched a new mandatory ignition interlock device program. An ignition interlock device is a breath alcohol analyzer connected to the ignition system of a vehicle. And as of December, DC drivers who have been convicted of an alcohol or drug-related offense, driving offense, are required to enroll in the program. As folks probably know, DC will expand its use of automated traffic enforcement. We have Charles Turner here, who's going to speak on the next panel. He runs our bureau. The safety cameras, we're going to add to the number of safety cameras we have, and we're going to add to new types of cameras. Most notably, to me, we're going to do bus lane enforcement. So it's going to be on buses, and some of them are going to be mounted, but they're going to be able to clear the bus lanes, which is a big deal for our bus lane commitment. As part of the expansion, the mayor has convened a task force, the Automated Traffic Enforcement Task Force. It's going to make sure that as we continue to expand our use of cameras, that it continues to be a model for the equitable and effective use of cameras. I think I'll stop there, and we can probably transition to the first panel of the day. But thanks everyone for coming, and I look forward to a exciting, interesting, lively discussion.